Well, in the first conversation since an Oval Office shouting match on February 28th, Zelenskyy thanked Trump for U.S. support, and the two leaders agreed that technical teams would meet in Saudi Arabia in the coming days. The White House announced that it has moved beyond the previously negotiated U.S.-Ukraine minerals and natural resources deal, shifting its focus to securing peace between Ukraine and Russia. Well, Trump briefed Zelenskyy on his phone call on Tuesday with Vladimir Putin, in which the Russian president rejected a proposed full 30-day ceasefire sought by Trump. He described his conversation with Trump as positive, very substantive and frank. White House says the talks have moved beyond U.S.-Ukraine minerals deal. And for more, we have DD India's Akshay Dongre joining us. Well, Akshay, after a positive phone call between Trump and Zelenskyy and the prisoner swap facilitated, which went ahead, what can be anticipated as the talks move forward?
Well, Lipakshi, now we are in fact entering into an era where actually negotiations and discussions are happening. That has been the call of several of the senior leaders, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who has always reiterated that the solution to war can only be found on discussion table and not on the war front. And that exactly is what Donald Trump is doing as well at this moment. He has asked both the leaders, in fact, President Putin and President Zelenskyy, to come to negotiating table to have a discussion and to end the war through dialogue and discussion through and not through arms, which is only going to lead to further catastrophe, not only in Europe but in Russia as well. So that seems to be exactly the thing that's happening now. It had been anticipated by Donald Trump that he will ask both the leaders to come on the negotiating table, and that is what is happening, because earlier it was President Putin who, after about a 2-hour discussion, telephonic discussion with President Trump, has agreed for a lot of demands that the US has been raising as far as halting this war is concerned. And now the other side of war, that is the Ukrainian president, he has had a discussion with President Trump, and it seems that after the incident that happened two weeks back in the Oval Office, there is finally some sense as far as the Ukrainian leadership is concerned that if you want to halt the war, you cannot go through it by getting more arms or getting more money, because you're fighting an adversary like Russia that has the largest stockpiles of nuclear weapons in the world. So you cannot defeat Russia through arms or on battlefield. You have to come on the negotiating table. You have to come and discuss terms of ceasefire with them, and that seems to be happening, because though there are still a lot of points that still remains as far as friction is concerned, but it seems that the negotiations are going the way of a ceasefire that can not only be temporary, like it has happened, that both the sides have agreed to not attack each other's power plants or power supplies, but now we are looking at a possibility of a more permanent ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. However, the kind of terms and negotiations that are going to take place are going to be quite complex, because both the sides, both Russia and Ukraine, are sticking to their points. Where Russia has asked for Donetsk and Donbas region, where more Russian speakers live, Ukraine has said that they will not be conceding any sort of territories to the Russian Federation. So there are some sticking points, but it seems that peace can be possible now as far as the Eastern Europe is concerned.
All right, the sticking points, of course, remain. But actually, tell me, how do you think the shift in U.S. priorities from the minerals deal to peace negotiations could affect the dynamics of the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia?
Well, we have seen, Lipakshi, that when Donald Trump had spoken about the minerals that could be given to the US in exchange of the kind of funding that the country has provided. Even Russia had offered that they also have similar minerals, and in fact in much larger quantity. So perhaps we are looking at a possibility under Donald Trump that both Russia and US on certain aspects at least can come into perhaps trade, can come into perhaps sort of deals that has not been seen ever before. and that is being done by Donald Trump in a negotiating manner that he has been doing all his life. He's a very popular businessman as well in the United States. So the kind of business tactics that are being used as far as President Trump is concerned is quite unprecedented. And in fact, the deal that you're talking about, a priority for Donald Trump is to stop the war, because unless the war has been stopped, there cannot be any deal in that region. And if the war escalates, then it can mean total devastation of of Ukraine or of the region, which also has minerals. So that would mean, in fact, the destruction of these core areas as well, and it would not be inhabitable, or it would not be feasible rather to extract these minerals. So that's what it seems to be happening. That Donald Trump has prioritized peace right now, so that business deals can be followed up later.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Akshay, for all those insights.